civilizations and history buried under movies, video games, and myths that have almost nothing to do with reality. Today, we're busting 5 ancient Egypt myths that even museums used to get wrong. Myth number 1: the pyramids were built by slaves. This is probably the most repeated ancient Egypt myth of all. For decades, popular culture assumed the pyramids were built by whipped, enslaved laborers under brutal conditions. Archaeological excavations near the Giza pyramids in the 1990s told a very different story. Researchers found a dedicated workers' village complete with bakeries, breweries, and a medical facility showing evidence of bone healing and surgical care. Also, workers' graves were found close to the pyramids themselves, a burial placement reserved for people of honor, not slaves. Most historians now believe the pyramids were built by paid laborers, likely farmers working during the Nile's flood season when their fields were underwater and they had no other income. Myth number 2: Cleopatra was Egyptian. Cleopatra is remembered as the ultimate symbol of ancient Egypt, but she wasn't ethnically Egyptian at all. She descended from the Ptolemaic dynasty, a Greek Macedonian family that ruled Egypt after Alexander the Great's conquest. Cleopatra was actually the first ruler in her entire 300-year dynasty to bother learning the Egyptian language. Every ruler before her spoke only Greek. Her family maintained Greek customs, Greek gods, and Greek court life for generations while ruling over Egyptian subjects. Myth number 3: mummification preserved bodies perfectly forever. Popular imagination pictures mummies as perfectly preserved, lifelike bodies. In reality, Egyptian mummification was a race against decomposition that only partially succeeded. The process typically took 70 days and still resulted in significant tissue degradation. Even successfully mummified remains like Tutankhamun's show extensive damage from the embalming chemicals themselves, which were often more corrosive over centuries than the natural decay they were meant to prevent. Myth number 4: ancient Egyptians wore elaborate gold everything. Movies and games show every Egyptian dripping in gold jewelry. In reality, gold and elaborate adornment were reserved almost exclusively for royalty and the wealthy elite. The vast majority of ancient Egyptians were farmers who wore simple linen garments and owned little to no jewelry at all. The golden imagery we associate with Egypt comes almost entirely from royal tombs like Tutankhamun's, which represent a tiny fraction of the population, not everyday life. Myth number 5: the Sphinx's nose was shot off by Napoleon's soldiers. This one connects nicely back to our last video. Napoleon gets blamed for this too. The popular story claims French soldiers used the Great Sphinx's nose for target practice during Napoleon's Egyptian campaign. But sketches and written descriptions of the Sphinx made decades before Napoleon was even born already show the nose missing. The most widely accepted explanation among Egyptologists today points to deliberate destruction around the 14th century, potentially by a Sufi Muslim who considered the statue idolatrous centuries before Napoleon ever set foot in Egypt. Ancient Egypt has been rewritten by pop culture more than almost any civilization in history. If you want more myths busted, subscribe new video every week.